Okay, so list is the interface. Okay, so list is required to store the values in the ordered. Okay, so list is growable. When I say growable, it means that you just not worrying about size, how much size you need to define, in opposite to arrays, which I have shown you in the last videos. Suppose you are creating the array of character or array of integer, so you are either defining the set of values, that is initialization. Otherwise you are just providing some size of the array and you are defining the values after that. Okay, so that is not growable, that is a fixed size. Okay, after that, if that size is matured, if size is exhausted, you cannot increase the, you cannot store another value into that array. So list is not like that, it is growable. Okay, and it is ordered. So whatever ordered means, the way you are inserting the object or element into the list, same way you will be retrieving when you are taking the output from the list. So it follows the same order, the way it has been, data has been stored into the list collection. Okay, so that's why it is ordered. So remember that there is difference between ordered and sorting. Ordering is not a sorting. Okay, so sorting is not a ordering. So ordering is something which is very much different thing. The way you will insert the record, you will get the same way as a output, that is ordering. Okay, so list follows the indexed. Okay, it is this collection is based on the index. So any element which you are storing, that will be stored on some index. You can say that it will be stored as some position, and then it will start, the position will start in the list from 0. Okay, so you have to first store as 0, then you have to store as 1 2 3 4, like that. Okay, and if you are not giving any position, it will automatically use by default its own way of doing the positioning. So it will start from 0, then 1 2 3 and so on. Okay, so it will add item at any position. Okay, so once you are trying to once your list is defined, then you can add the items at any position. When to use? When you are storing a bunch of things in the order way, which you want to iterate later, at the time you can use the list. Okay, so list is implemented by array list, vector and linked list. So in this session I will explain about array list and linked list. So first I will explain about array list. Let's go to Eclipse and try to understand this one in a practical way. Let's create one class, say test array list. Okay, let's create one main method first, the way we do the testing. Okay, so as I shown you, list, if I go to list interface, it is extending collection and it has a lot of methods, and it has few classes which are implementing and few are still extending. So few interfaces are still extending this one. If you see list here, it is being implemented by these classes and extended by few interfaces. Okay, so I have already explained about these things. Okay, I will advise you to go to each API and try to understand those methods and those capabilities. So here what I am going to do, I am going to have few strings that I am going to store into a array list. So I will say that I will create variable of list type array list equal to new array list. So here list and array list both are available in util package. So all the collections, all the collection related classes are available in your util package. Okay, so if you see here java.util package, it contains all the collection classes which we are talking about here. Okay, so here I am creating one array list. The type of the element which I want to store in the list is string. So if you see here, this operator was not available before JDK 7. This was introduced in JDK 7. So that is a diamond operator. Okay, and if you write something like list al is equal to new string, there is no arm. Only thing that this is not specified that what type of object you want to store into list. So it is very much required to decide that what type of object you want to store into the list. Okay, so for that in JDK 1.5 one generic scheme where you can specify that what type of object I want to store. So at that time when JDK 6 came, you needed to do something like this. Okay, but so in this way you are giving the string and a string at two places. Okay, so in JDK 7 this portion was removed, saying with diamond operator. So this says that it is quite enough to give the type of the object that you want to store into that list by giving like this. Okay, so if you see here what type of constructor I have in array list. So there are many type of constructor I have in this array list. Array list, that is default one. Okay, this constructor is generally used. So here it will provide a empty list, okay, with an initial capacity of 10. Okay, so there is something called initial capacity. And when you talk about set and other things, then we will talk about load factor. Here just forget it, load factor. Initial capacity. So initial capacity is the capacity when you create this object of array list, how much memory it will take, how much space of that string it will take into the Java memory. So that is initial capacity. So by default initial capacity of array list is 10. So once you create array list like this, when you create the constructor new array list like this, it will create the space of 10 string objects in Java memory. Okay, so once that space is occupied, then it will create another set of elements, another set of string objects, and it will create space for another set of string objects in the memory. So initially you can this is the initial capacity, that is by default 10. So you can provide initial capacity if you are using this method. You can give the initial capacity more than 10, whatever you want. Okay, so I advise to use the default one, because suppose you have 50 objects, okay, and if you are creating the initial side as 1000 and but you are storing only 50 objects, so the lot of spaces will be misused. So in that case, let's use, if you are sure that you will be going to store at least 10 value, then you can go with default initial capacity. Otherwise you can provide your own initial capacity. So based on your contents about your it depends on what is the requirement of your application. Okay, so other than array list, you can create array list and passing that another collection. Okay, so these are the way you can create the array list. So here first I am creating with the default way, then I will tell you how to create the array list with another array list. So let's add few elements in the array list. So let's say that al dot add. So here this is the add is the method to add some element into the list. These methods are provided by list, so you can because array list is already implementing list, so all the methods are available already defined into this array list class. So add method, there are a lot of overloaded methods. So first one you can add the string, second one you can add the string at some position, third one you can add the whole collection, and fourth one you can add the whole collection at some index. Okay, so I will use the default one and add, say, Shiv. This is my first string. Okay, so when I add like this, so it will store the string value as a Shiv on the position 0. Okay, so if you see here, it will store the element as position 0 automatically unless you provide some index. So if I say al dot array list dot add, say, Manoj, for example, then I say add Krishna. Okay, I think 3 is enough, 3 are enough. So let's try to print them. Sys out why sys out is not coming. System dot out dot println al. Okay, let's run it. So once you run it, you will get the collection detail over here. So you are getting the value of the string like this because a string has two string method. Okay, that is printing the value of the content. Okay, that's the reason I will be getting like this. Okay, so if you see that it is ordered the way you have inserted, it will be printing here. So if you run multiple time also, it will maintain the same order. Okay, so this is about inserting. So let's try to insert something at position 0 again. So I say index Shiv. So if you add this one, oh sorry, I have to add before printing so that I can see the impact. So here if you see index Shiv came as position 0. So the whatever values available at that position, it shifted down, it shifted to next position. So in list, in array list, when you insert an element at one position, and if there is already some content is there, some object is there on that position, so the existing element will shift to the next position and the current object will replace the position of first one. Okay, so that will come as first. Okay, and it will the first element move to the next one and next one will move to the next one, like that. So suppose you want to add, suppose Krishna is on position number 0 1 2 3. So at position 3 I will add index Krishna. Okay, so Krishna should move to position 4. Okay, so in array list, if you are adding the element on that position, if there is already element on that position, that existing element will move to the next position, and the new value will come to the that position. Okay, so let's talk about, let's add al dot add Shiv again. Okay, if you see the result, Shiv came here because that is added last. So in array list there is nothing called you can store any value n number of times. So because that is stored on the at new index on at new position. Okay, so if if you want to insert multiple content with the same value, you can easily store. So there is no overriding concept over here. Okay, so in interviews generally people ask, suppose I am adding say list dot add Shiv, again I say list dot add Shiv, what is the size of that? Sometimes people get confused and say size is 2. Size is 2 is correct. Sometimes people say that size is 1, they say that it will be override the last value. So it's not the case because it is storing on the index. Okay, so the operation you can perform, you can go for, you can get the size of that of your array list. Okay, it will print the size of that. So it has something called contains method. Contains method is required when you are trying to find out if any object is available in the existing collection or not. Suppose in this collection whatever I made here AL, if I want to find out does it contain Shiv, it should say yes, it contains. If I say does it contain Shiv1, no, it doesn't contain Shiv1. Okay, that way you can use collections. Contains. There is contains all, where you can check that the if a collection contains the another collection. Okay, that will give you a boolean value of that. Okay, so let's try to find, let's see what the one operation is get operation. Get operation is used when you are trying to get some values on some index, when you are trying to retrieve values on a particular index. So the particular index is something you need to specify. Suppose I want to find out the value at index 3, so I will get index Krishna. Okay, that way you can get the value at any position. Fine. Okay, another method which is very much used, that is index of. I want to find out at what position I have index of Shiv. So I want to find out the location of index Shiv in this collection. Okay, if I run it, I'll be getting that index underscore Shiv is not there in this collection. So in that case it will give me -1, because it is case sensitive. I have to give something like this. Then it says that index Shiv is available at position 0, because I have added at position 0. Okay, before that you can print the value of that. So it is say AL. So see, index 0 is available at position 0. Okay, so is empty is the another method which is very much used. Suppose you are trying to find out, you are preparing the list from some dynamic source, and after that you want to see that your list is prepared or not. So you can say that your list is empty or not. So if I say list empty, it is not empty, it has few values. So if I say that al dot clear, so I will be clearing all the content in my collection. So after clearing, there is no value and it says that is empty is true. Fine. I hope you will be getting it. So let's try to create another list. Let's remove al clear. Okay, let's create another one, say al 2. Okay, so al2, let's add it some elements. al2, 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 al2. Let's not use too many things, let's give only this much. I say al2 Shiv, al2 Manoj, just to distinguish the content. Okay, now let's try to print al2. So if I print al2, it should give me the value, sorry, it is al2. Okay, so it is giving al2 Shiv, al2 Manoj and al2 Krishna. Okay, now let's try to add the content of al1 into al2. So I say al2 dot add al, that is the first collection. So because I am saying that add all, here I need to say, because I am adding collection, I need to say add all. So now in al2, first these values will be stored, then all the content of al will store into al2. Okay, if you see here, al2 Shiv, al2 Manoj, al2 Krishna has been stored. After that, index Shiv, Shiv Manoj, index Krishna, Krishna and Shiv, those are stored into the al2. So this is how you can say that you are storing one collection inside another collection. So there is something called contains all. So if I want to find out al2 contains al or not, it should be containing, so I should be getting the true value. Okay, so this is about operation on collection. So you can browse yourself to find out other methods, you can browse them. Let's talk about sorting. We know that this is something ordered. Let's sort them. So if I say for sorting, we can use collections. As I said, collections is the utility method, which utility class which provides a lot of static methods. Okay, so very much what is being used, that is sorting. So for sorting, I just need to give the list name. So if I say, because this list is based on string objects, and string is implementing comparable. So here you have to give the collection of those objects which are implementing comparable. So suppose I am giving list here al. Okay, let's print it. Let's print the al1, because now al is sorted. So let's, after al is sorted, let's print it. So here you will say index Krishna, index Shiv, Krishna, Manoj, Shiv and Shiv. Okay, so this is sorted one. Okay, now there is something called, suppose I want to what happens, suppose after sorting I want to add, say, new value. Okay, I want to add new value. So whatever result of sorting will come, new value will be added extra. So this is not sorted, so if you need to sort it again to get the value of the sorted collection. Now if you want to say I want my collection to make unmodifiable, no one can modify my list, so I will say unmodifiable list. I will pass it. Okay, then if I print it, I should be getting the old value, old collection. Now because it is unmodifiable, if I try to modify that list, it should give me error. It is not modified. What happened? Okay, so here when I say unmodifiable, if you see the return type of that, it should return a list. Okay, so it is not changing the behavior of AL. So AL, it creates another list. Okay, so that list I will use as AL. It means that the unmodifiable list I am storing into list AL again, and then try to modify it. So if I modify, it is getting the unsupported operation. So I cannot modify AL after making it unmodifiable. So unmodifiable you can use when your application needs something that once you create the list, no one can modify it. Okay, so this is all about array list. Okay, before moving ahead, I want to explain about some other object. So here we talk about only list and only string, because string already implements comparable, so sorting and all those things is not a problem. So let's create employees, few employees. Let's create 2 employees. So employee E1 is equal to new employee. I am passing ID and name Shiv, and then say employee E2 is equal to new employee ID 2 and say Max, say Abhishek. Okay, something like this. Now I will create one array list AL employee is equal to new array list. Okay, so here I say that I will add this list, I want to store employees. Okay, then I say add dot ALEMP array list employee dot add E1, then I add E2, then let's print it. Okay, let's remove other sys out, let's run it. Okay, so I am getting here 1 Shiv and 2 Abhishek. Here this value is coming because in employee class I have something to string also. So to string is implemented as ID, this dot ID and this dot name. So that's the reason I will be getting values here. Okay, so now let's try to sort it. Collections dot sort employee AL employee array list employee. So if you sort here, what it says, this value is not comparable. So employee is not at implementing comparable. In the case of string, because string was already already implementing the comparable, that's reason we were able to see the sorting in the way it is doing. In the case of employee, we need to implement comparable. So if I implement comparable here, I will implement with type of employee, and then I need to override compare to. So let's override. So compare to, I will say that return this dot name dot compare. I want to sort based on their name. Okay, so compare to, and the string, that is o dot name or get name. Okay, here name and get name both are available because I'm writing this one in the same object. So if I sort it, then I should be able to sort them based on the, after sorting I need to print it. Okay, so Abhishek should come first. Okay, now Abhishek is coming first, Shiv is coming later. So that is based on name. I have done the sorting. If I want to do the sorting on based on the ID, so I will say this dot ID minus o dot ID. Okay, so that way I should be seeing the result as she should come first because its employee ID is less than employee ID of the Abhishek. Okay, so when to use array list you need to use when you have when you need to do a lot of bunch of insertion. Okay, but more than that you have to do the searching of element in a list. So at that time you need to go for array list, because array list is based on the index, so searching on index is faster. Okay, so when you have more searching, then you can go for array list. When you have more insertion, then you can go for linked list. So I will explain about linked list.